This video is not anti-email. This video is going to be helping you to understand where email fits into a scaling e-commerce business system. If you're under the impression that email is capable of scaling your business or doubling your business revenue or whatever, then I'm here to humbly tell you that you're wrong. Email will not double your business, but it will help you to stop bleeding revenue from customers and traffic that you've already paid to acquire. So if you're a 7-figure e-com brand, you already know paid ads are expensive, acquisition costs keep going up, yada, yada, yada. You've heard that all before. The whole point of email is not to scale your brand, but to simply make it so that your paid ads and your organic efforts and whatever else that you get a better return on investment from those other systems and other channels. So now I'm going to break down exactly how email works, what it will do, what it won't do, and where it fits into your business. But before we go into that, let's talk about the customer buyer journey for a second. So somebody comes to your website for the first time, they see your products, they see your brand, they're having a browse and whatever, and then they leave. Does that mean that those people are not interested in your products or your brand? Not necessarily. People get distracted, they hesitate, they go to compare, and then they bounce off your website. So that's what people are doing when they come to your store and they look around and they don't purchase. It's not always because you're not the right fit for them, it's because something else has got in the way. Email lets you re-enter that mental conversation where you're not fighting for their attention again. You've already captured their information, and then you get to contact them on your own time and put your brand in front of the customer whenever you like, without having to pay Facebook or Meta, Instagram, Google Ads, whatever it is. You don't have to pay for that again. You can just email them. So this works better because you're not forcing a sale. Instead, you're mirroring natural behavior where you're presenting yourself to them in their inbox, and you're not having to battle all these other brands who are fighting on their timeline on social media channels or wherever it may be. So let's look at the numbers for a second then, what email actually does. So according to Klaviyo 2024 benchmark report, brands with fully optimized email flows generate 20 to 30% of their revenue from email. So you've probably heard before that 30% is the magic number for what you can expect to generate in terms of monthly revenue as a percentage of your total revenue each month. And that's about true. And it tends to vary for different brands, but this is what email does well. It makes sure acquisition sticks. So 20 to 30% of your total revenue, not 100% or going for 150% in further months in the future. Email is solely to recover lost revenue that you've got from other places. So it will help you to increase your lifetime value because you can remarket to people at a fraction of the cost versus doing it with ads. It will help you to stabilize your customer acquisition costs as well, because like I mentioned before, when somebody comes to your site and they bounce, email is a near free way to retarget them. So the purpose of all of this is to make your acquisition profitable again. It's to help you to get a better ROI on those other efforts that you're doing. So it doesn't necessarily scale your brand, but it makes scaling much easier. Now, I'm not sure where you are exactly with your email journey. Maybe you've already been doing email for years. Maybe you've never got started. Maybe you're somewhere in the middle. But the whole point of email is that there are 5 flows that are going to do about 80% of the work, maybe a bit less, but the majority of the work will be done by these 5 flows. This is the exact structure that we use for 7-figure brands, 6-figure brands, 8-figure brands, and it's a tried and tested method of just consistently generating revenue every month. The first is your welcome series. Everybody knows this one. It's your brand's first impressions, where you tell your story, you build trust, you set some expectations, you give a good offer, hopefully convert as many people as you can when they first join your list. After that, you've got abandonment flows. So you've got your cart abandonment, your browse abandonment, your checkout abandonment. Those are the ones that are going to retarget people when their interest is peaked. So if they're viewing your products or they're adding to cart or they're checking out, then those people are somewhat warmer, at least, than the people who are just cold on your list, don't really click emails, don't visit your site. Those people aren't really that interested. But the people who are actively triggering those flows that I mentioned, those are the ones where you're going to retarget and get some sales from it. After that, you should be thinking about the post-purchase. So you've got your post-purchase flow, which is immediately after somebody places their order, where it's their first, second, third, fourth, fifth, or infinite amount of orders. You want to have some kind of follow-up in place after they do that. For first-time customers, this matters more because the whole point of email, as I mentioned, is to extend that LTV, is to get people to continue to purchase more. And that post-purchase flow is very important for turning first-time customers into repeat buyers. Then finally, after that, you've got your win-back sequences. So this is for inevitably, you'll have a percentage of people on your list who place an order, they order once, maybe twice if you're lucky, and then for whatever reason, by the time that period after when they should be finished with the product, let's say it's consumable, it's chocolate, you finish it in 30 days. And so from that point, they should be ordering more. And if they don't, then they're considered a lapsed customer or a churned customer, whatever you want to call it. So those are the people that you want to try to win back and re-engage to place orders again. And you do it with a customer win back flow. So all of this, the way that you think about all of this is like a bucket. Let's say you're trying to fill a bucket with water. Well, the bucket's got holes in it. Email is like plugging the holes in the bucket so that you can retain more water. And then the water that's coming in comes from ads. It comes from traffic. It comes from organic. Anything that will get people to your site and see your business for the first time. You can't really do that with email. So if you're scaling your ads right now and you're not using email, then you can see the problem here. That water is leaking out of the bucket. And every time you try and pour more water, try and turn the tap on to go faster or add different taps into the bucket, more and more water is leaking out and you're losing a lot of money. Now I'm going to cover some of the biggest industry mistakes. So the first one is saying that I'll build my flows when my traffic is stable. You couldn't be more wrong. You're missing out on so much opportunity. You build the flows before you scale the ads, and then you don't burn your money. Second mistake is treating email like it's a sales engine. Now, only running promotions and only offering direct response copy and whatever else, and not really doing any brand building as part of that channel. Also, having this conversation that email is designed to help you scale, it shouldn't just be seen as a way to extract money from your list. It should be a way that you solidify your brand and build relationships as well. But that's another video. But long story short, make sure that you're adding experience, you're storytelling, you're giving education, you're building some form of relationship equity when you're doing your emails. And again, the final mistake that I see all too often is thinking that email can replace acquisition. It cannot. It can only scale the impact of what your acquisition has already done or is currently doing. So you need to have that in place if you want to get the best ROI possible on both of those channels, not just email and not just acquisition. They don't work in silos, they work together. Email maximizes its traffic from the ad spend. It doesn't generate traffic. So you look at email like a multiplier instead of a generator. So how do you actually scale a brand then? Where do you go? Where does email fit into this? Well, the first thing that you want to do is find your qualified traffic. Okay, before you start investing into your email flows and things like that, you want to get traffic to your site. You want to get initial customers so that you know who your target customer actually is. So you're doing that from ads, from creators, from SEO, from affiliates, or from retail or store traffic or whatever it is. You want to get traffic to your site. That's the first level you need to leverage. Second thing is your conversion rate. So you've already got the traffic coming to your site, and then you want to start optimizing for conversions. So you want to make sure your landing page is dialed in, that it's an easy checkout experience. If you're using Shopify, that makes it pretty simple, but the pre-checkout experience is something that you have control over, and you want to make sure is liquid as you can, so that as many people are going to order as you can. Add a great offer. Make sure your product is good. Make sure that your imagery looks great. Make sure that your AOV is optimized as well. Again, when you start running ads, the higher your AOV, the better. So if you need to bump it up with some bundles or whatever to get that AOV up so you can spend more on ads, then you should do that. And then finally, once you've got those first two in place, you've got the traffic, you've got the conversions, you know that you can scale this model, then you want to add email. So that's when you start coming in, you build your flows, you build your sign-up forms, you start working on deliverability, you get all of the basics in place, and then any money that you pour into the ads is going to convert at a high rate, and it's also then going to generate higher LTV and also retarget people for as near to free as you can from the emails that you've got. So all of this works together in one big system. So email sits in lever number 3. It doesn't scale your traffic, as I've already mentioned. It makes the traffic that you're paying for, it makes it worth it. Now imagine that you've got all of this dialed in, your email is working perfectly. What does that allow you to do? Well, first of all, you can bid more aggressively on ads because you know that your LTV will pay off in maybe 30, 60, 90 days, a year. I don't know how long for you, depends. But the whole point is that you're not just focusing on getting that first order profitability. You're hoping to generate more LTV on the back end, which allows you to then justify spending more money on your ads and winning more customers from your competitors, meaning you can afford a higher customer acquisition cost. Now, once the foundations are all done and out of the way, the next thing for you to do is start building out your email strategy, working on next level email ideas so that you can continuously improve your game with your email. Because like I say, it's not just a medium to generate money or to send a message from one person to another. It's a living extension of your brand. It's something that you can use to build a relationship with your customers, whether it's with behavioral triggers or with A/B testing or dynamic recommendations, those types of things that allow you to provide a more tailored personal experience for that customer so they buy into your brand more. And that's where you need a professional. Now, you're not going to be able to just pick that up and just learn it in a few minutes. This is something that we have taken months, if not years, in order to develop our own strategies, and we break them down on this channel. So if you want to see more of that, then hit subscribe. I mentioned earlier the 5 core flows that you need. If you're just getting started with email, you need to have those in place. Those are essential for your brand, and they will make up the majority of your revenue over the course of a year. So I'll put those in the description. You'll need to sign up to my email list. You might not need to sign up to my email list. It might be a different blog. So check it out. I'll put a link in the description. You might do. I can't remember. Check it out.